Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. I'm François Picard. The day after Dominique Strauss-Kahn granted his first public interview since his May 14th arrest on sexual assault charges, our guest, the attorney for his accuser on those charges, Kenneth Thompson, welcome to the France 24 interview. Thanks for being with us. A whopping 47% of all French households watched that interview Sunday night. Did you get a chance to catch any excerpts?
Yes, I did see some excerpts of it, and I don't really think it was an interview. I think it was more of a publicity stunt.
How so?
And the reason why I say that is Mr. Strauss-Kahn never said a single word about what happened in the hotel room between himself and Ms. Diallo. I mean, that's what people want to know. And so if he did not sexually assault her, why doesn't he describe what occurred? It doesn't make sense. And so the interviewer, who was really his wife's best friend, gave him an opportunity to present himself in the most sympathetic light. What the people of France want, what the people in the United States want, is the truth. So although it was dressed up as an interview, it was not a real interview, as opposed to what Ms. Diallo did here in the United States. She sat down with a group of reporters without any conditions, answered all questions, and described what Dominique Strauss-Kahn did to her in that hotel room. Why doesn't he do the same thing?
He didn't describe what happened in the hotel room. He did admit, though, to a, quote, moral failing, but he firmly denied any form of coercion.
No, I understand that, but he's no longer facing criminal charges here in the United States. So why doesn't he describe to the people of France how he was able to convince a woman who had never seen him before in her life to engage in sexual acts with him, as he claims, or as his lawyers suggested during the criminal proceeding? It does not make sense. He will not describe that because he cannot describe it. And although he can deny, we want to know, how did his DNA get on Miss Diallo's dress? How did his DNA get on her pantyhose and on her panties?
He admits to there being a sexual encounter.
He has to. The evidence shows that there was a sexual encounter. What he should do now is to describe his side of what happened. I mean, that's what people, I believe, why people tuned in to see that interview last night, because they wanted to see and hear what he had to say. And he did not say anything about what happened in the hotel room.
Now, you mentioned the fact that criminal charges have been dropped. A civil case, though, is still in the future. And on that point, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, this is what he had to say.
The existence of this civil complaint shows well the financial motives behind all this. And that's not the only way in which these financial motives appear. The civil process will run its course, and I do not intend to negotiate. I will take however long it takes.
No intention to negotiate, financial motives. Your reaction to that?
Well, that's good news to hear that Dominique Strauss-Kahn looks forward to the trial, because we certainly look forward to the trial. And I look forward to cross-examining him. See, in the criminal case here in the United States, a defendant does not have to get on the witness stand. He has a right against self-incrimination. That's a constitutional right. But in the civil case here in the States, a defendant has to take the witness stand. And so although Dominique Strauss-Kahn appears to be unwilling to tell what happened in that hotel room, he will eventually have to do so at the civil trial. And he's going to have to do it in a courtroom, in front of a jury of people, and in front of reporters. So we want to get to the civil trial as soon as possible, and I'm sure he does as well.
And on the issue of the financial motivation, he talked about that telephone conversation between Nafissatou Diallo and a friend of hers in prison in Arizona, where she allegedly said that don't worry, that this could be a big payday. Your reaction to that?
That is completely ridiculous, and I have made it crystal clear as a lawyer that she never said that. And if you look at the report that the DA filed when he dismissed the case, it doesn't say anything about Ms. Diallo being quoted as saying, "Don't worry, he has a lot of money, and I know what I'm doing." That's because she never said that. And If she did say it, then why doesn't the report of dismissal say that? Now, we're going to get those audio tapes. We're going to have those audio tapes transcribed, and the public will see exactly what Ms. Diallo said. That was a false statement made about Ms. Diallo, and I have been consistent in telling the world that it's not true, and that was one of the reasons why many people believe that she was lying in this case. Ms. Diallo was not captured on tape saying anything about, quote, he has a lot of money, don't worry, and I know what to do. She did not say that.
Interesting that you mentioned the DA's report, because Dominique Strauss-Kahn brought a copy of it Sunday evening on the set. DA's report, which talks about shifting and inconsistent versions of the events surrounding the alleged assault by Nafissatou Diallo. Is that going to be hard to overcome, that report, when you do go to a civil case?
Not at all, because the report was really an attempt to justify the Manhattan District Attorney's decision to walk away from a case that he had put in the grand jury and indicted. Now, many people in France may not quite understand that when Mr. Strauss-Kahn was indicted, he was indicted by a group of New Yorkers. About 16 to 23 New Yorkers analyzed the evidence and concluded that he should be indicted. And DA Vance stood in front of the courthouse and publicized that indictment, took pride in it, and then months later ran away from it.
Yeah, but in that report, he says that in the subsequent days that followed the indictment, they heard at least 3 different versions of what happened from her. That's what's in the report.
I know that's in the report and is untrue. What's also in the report is that Ms. Diallo spoke to 2 outcry witnesses. An outcry witness is someone who the victim goes and sees right away after an incident happens. The district attorney knows that Ms. Diallo did not speak to just 2 outcry witnesses. She spoke to 5 outcry witnesses. Why did the district attorney completely ignore the 3 other outcry witnesses from the security department at the Sofitel? That's very interesting. It's because they wanted to justify to the public why they were walking away from this very important case. So although the report says many negative things about Ms. Diallo, we intend to take this case to trial and call a number of people who are referenced in that report as witnesses.
When Dominique Strauss-Kahn was asked if this case somehow involved a plot, he remained vague. He said, a trap, it's possible, a plot, we'll see. Your reaction?
Completely ridiculous. Here's the situation. Mr. Strauss-Kahn wants the people of France to believe that it was some type of plot to bring him down politically because he wants to avoid taking personal responsibility for his own actions. Ms. Diallo believed that no one was in that hotel room when she walked into it. So how could she be involved in any plot? She had no idea who Dominique Strauss-Kahn was before she walked into that room. All she wanted to do was to clean that room like she had cleaned other rooms that morning. And keep in mind, this is a woman who worked at the Sofitel here in New York for years, has never had any incident with any guest in all of those years. For the first time in her life, she's now going to try to set up Dominique Strauss-Kahn. She is an immigrant to this country. She is she has no formal education at all. She did not know who Dominique Strauss-Kahn was. So it is fantasy to believe that this was part of some plot to bring him down so he wouldn't run for the presidency. Ridiculous.
You talk about she works at that hotel. When is she returning to work?
When she's able to. Ms. Strauss-Kahn was injured during the incident in the room, and she is still suffering from depression. Here's a woman who only wanted to provide for herself and her young daughter. She did not ask for any of this, and she wishes she can go back in time because she would have never stepped foot in that room. So the world has put her under a spotlight, and she has been disparaged throughout the world, and including being called a prostitute by the New York Post. She has gone through so much. So it's going to take some time, but she is a hard-working woman, and she intends to go back to work so she can continue to provide for herself and her young daughter.
Kenneth Thompson, at the outset you mentioned how you're looking forward to the civil trial, and Dominique Strauss-Kahn saying he's not going to back down. That's talk. Behind the talk, has there been any negotiating, any feelers been put out by the other side or by yourself?
Well, let me just say this. I'm not going to talk about anything but the fact that we want to go to trial, because this is important. With the criminal case being dismissed, now people around the world are questioning what exactly happened in that room. The civil case, the civil trial will show that, because Ms. Diallo must take the witness stand, and so does Mr. Strauss-Kahn.
But has there been any feelers put out? Have there been any negotiations?
I'm not going to discuss anything beyond the fact that we want to go to trial, because that's important. People think that Ms. Diallo's only brought this lawsuit for money. If a woman is sexually assaulted by a man, does she not have a right to hold him accountable in a court of law?
Kenneth Thompson, with cases now on both sides of the Atlantic, do you have more faith in the U.S. or the French justice system?
Well, I don't know much about the French justice system, but I do believe that Tristan Banon is telling the truth. I do believe that. And you have two women who have never met each other before from different backgrounds, one from France, one from Africa, both accusing Dominique Strauss-Kahn of engaging in horrible conduct. Could they both be part of some great plot to prevent him from becoming president of France? It's ridiculous. And so I am disappointed that the criminal case was dismissed, but I'm now looking forward to the civil case, because I will have an opportunity to question Dominique Strauss-Kahn about his ridiculous claim about an inappropriate relationship.
All right, Kenneth Thompson, we're out of time, but I want to thank you for joining us here in the France 24 interview, and we want to thank you for being with us. Stay with us, more to come here on France 24.